Hey guys! Hey. Welcome to Tuesday training. Wow, my hair looks really funny against this backdrop. It looks like I'm wearing like a wig. Anyways, hey, welcome back, you guys. First Tactical Tuesday of the year. It's tough getting back in the swing of things, hey? But man, have we got a lineup for you guys this month. So we've got, tonight we've got Andrea Workington. We're talking private lending. She's going to do some role plays with us tonight, show us exactly how, how do you talk to someone? She's got a deal that she's going to pitch to us, a real deal that she's actually, raising money on right now. And she's going to pitch it to us, show us how to do it, how do you answer those questions. So we're going to do a role play there. Andrea's a very experienced, long-time investor, so much knowledge for us to learn from. Next week, we have a private lender coming on. He's going to tell us what he looks for when he's doing a private lend. What does he say? What does he want? What does he want to hear them say? So some great stuff. And then we've got the Smith maneuver. Week after that, so the 19th of January, the 26th of January, we'll have Robinson Smith coming on with Sean Impey and maybe another guest just to flush that out. And then Robinson will also be coming into our laser sessions in Ignited so that we can go through and talk about, individual stuff for you Ignited members. So lots of good stuff all lined up. There we go. Hey, everyone. Oh, I love it. You're excited for tonight's training, Deb. That's awesome. Andrea, she's a wealth of knowledge. So Lingian from Halifax, Carissa, Bernie, Port Elmsley. We're now going to know where that is, just outside of Ottawa, but now we actually know where that is. Colin and Nicole. Yeah, awesome. Welcome, you guys. Say hi as you come on. Mike and Jess from out in Vancouver, some great stuff coming from them very soon. Just all good all around. I'm so happy. Oh, Sean and Andrea, hey. I'm so happy to be getting into kind of a new energy in this new year and just kind of taking it and being like, let's roll, right? Like, let's just roll. So that's what I'm waiting for. So Grant and Crean, Jim, welcome everybody. Nin, of course, everyone knows our sweet Nin. Nin is our community manager. So if you guys ever need anything, you can just message her. Corey and I do not use Messenger because it makes me go crazy because it's just constantly dinging and constantly there. And we get a ton of messages. So, but Nin does use Messenger, so you're welcome to. This is Nin right here, smiley as you see always, and so you're welcome to message her for anything that you guys need within the community, connections to realtors, or just questions, or she can tag you in posts from the past or trainings from the past if you're looking for specific information. Connect you with our Ignited members in different cities if you're looking for some networking, that sort of thing. So, so welcome everyone. We have got, just as of today, actually, it kind of all came together. Tonight, as you know, we were going to be talking about private lending, but got talking to an old investor friend of ours that we've known for a really long time, and she's just been a phenomenal resource for investors for a very long time. Very creative in her marketing, very creative in her, she does like agreements for sale. She does, anything that's creative. And she's one of those people that if you give her the problem, she'll be able to figure out the solution. And it might not look anything like what you were thinking, but there's always a will, or always a way. If there's a will, there's a way. And that's Andrea. So we're going to bring Andrea on. Again, we're going to, like I said, we're going to, talk to her for a little bit, and then we're going to do some role plays. When you are someone looking for private lending, what do you pitch? What do you say? How much information do you give at the beginning? How much do you give at the end? What's too much? What's too little? And Andrea has a deal right now that she's looking for for private lending funds on. And so she's just going to pitch her deal exactly how she pitches it to everyone else. And Andrea is a master at raising money. She's raised a lot of money. She doesn't need us to help her, but it's a great opportunity for all of us to learn from her. So love this lovely lady, right? I wish I could see what your name is, and I can't, but I totally agree with you. Okay. Hey, Shelly. All right, guys. So I am going to bring Andrea on, and welcome, Andrea. Should pop up in a second. Hang on. No, showing that she's here, but she's not here. It says that she's in. Should I change to this one? Nope. This one? Corey's here. He's just going to do the tech stuff as he always does. And I'm going to fix my hair so I don't look like I'm wearing a wig. I feel like I'm wearing a wig. Andrea, can you say something? Oh, she's coming on another invite. Let me see. There she is. Oh, yeah, that one's frozen. You're right. Oh, there we go. That's better.
Hi. Sorry about that.
No worries. It's funny. I can still see you on the other one, but now that I realize that you are frozen, you didn't look like it, so I thought. Thanks for joining us. I know this was pretty last minute for both of us, but
yeah, thanks for having me.
You're an old pro. I know that you'll roll with me, right?
I always will, yes.
Right? Isn't that what we do as investors? We learn to roll really well.
We do. Stop, drop, and roll and get done what you can.
There you go. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So we are, like I said earlier, we just want to pick your brain. We want to know, like, when you were telling me about the deal that you've got going on and you're doing a raise for it, I thought, hey, this is an awesome opportunity for Fearless members to learn from you, your expertise. So I thought, like I said earlier, we'll cover a few ground kind of foundational ideas, and then we'll put it into practice. And I'll throw the questions at you just like I'm a lender, and you answer them just how you answer them. We did not rehearse this, but that's where the best stuff usually comes out, isn't it?
Yes, it sure is.
Awesome. Do you want to give us a quick rundown of who you are, what you've done, how you are as an investor?
Sure. So I bought my first rental property in 2003. And I've been investing ever since. So I've been in the Red Deer, Central Alberta area now since 2006. And that's where most of my portfolio is, in the Central Alberta area. But I also am a licensed property manager. That was something new that I got licensed at this summer, but I've kind of been doing it for a while. And I do lots of different things. So I help the McGuires do some creative strategies training. I do real estate masterminds with people. And I just really love all things real estate. So I've done everything from long-term buy and holds to flips to private money deals where I've been the lender or I've been the one receiving the money. And anytime that I come across something that's perceived as a problem property, I love it, because oftentimes people can't figure out the solution. So I like to come in and be the solution provider. And that's a lot of what the seller financing deals are that I do, the agreements for sale. It's solving somebody's problem. So I get a lot of enjoyment out of doing that.
Yeah, it is. It's really, really satisfying to be able to be that person that, you know, we know that we can do something for them, get them out of the situation that they're in, and still leave them with their dignity and hopefully some options and hopefully an ability to just, you know, walk away and move on. And that's what people need a lot of the time. So, and it's nice to be able to do that, knowing that we're going to do it right and treat them well and all that stuff. Hey? Yes,
exactly.
For sure. All right. So let's talk about a couple of things. So, I mean, we've got, you know, oh, actually, there we go. So, you know, when we are talking about lending and when we're talking about, you know, raising funds, generally speaking, is for a project, right? So generally we would have the details of a project first, whereas joint venturing, often we can go either way. We can find a partner first and then say, okay, I'll go shopping for you. With private lending, generally we have a project and we talk to them about that project, right?
Yes.
Okay. So now let's set some foundational stuff. We are always talking in our Ignited group about how, you know, a confused mind says no, and too much information will drive people away. And they, you know, if they can't absorb what you're saying, they're not going to be able to stick around. So, for example, with you, when you have a deal, you told me this afternoon there are 5 things. We talked about the 5 things that you generally talk about with them. And that kind of gives you a baseline for, hey, this is the deal. If you're interested, I'll go into more detail. But right now, here's just the bare minimum. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, what are those 5 things? Let's talk about those.
So the first thing people need to know is how much money do you need? So that's 1. 2 is what kind of time frame you're looking for. So whether you need the funds yesterday or whether you need them 6 months from now is a big difference.
Right.
What kind of return that you're offering, so percentage wise, and then they also need to know what the security is. So if they're giving you money, is it going to be secured on title, or is it a promissory note? So what's their form of security? And oftentimes they want to know something about the property as well, that they're going to be securing it on. So those are kind of the 5 major things that people need to know, because if you're asking for $1 million and they got 50,000, then they're kind of out. So we don't want to waste people's time with offering them something that's not of interest to them.
Yes, exactly. And we also don't want to be wasting our time on talking to people that, don't have an interest in our product. So if, for example, like one of the things you said is the interest rate that you're offering. So if we were to go out and pitch a deal and say, hey, we've got this great deal, blah, 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 but we don't tell them what we're offering them, then, and a lot of people say, oh, that's too much information. But if they don't have that information, they can't make a decision, right? So we have to also be talking to people and not wasting their time and not wasting ours.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Okay, so let's say, did everyone get those 5 things? Grant, you know what? That's so funny. I was just going to say, I bet you Grant did. So Grant is our resident, I don't know what, detail master. He masters the details of things and clarifies so good. So how much, the time frame, the percentage you're going to get on return, how you're going to have security, if you're going to have security, and then a little bit of information on the property. So maybe the price point on it, or what kind of strategy you're using, if it's a burr or if it's a flip or whatever it might be. So thanks, Grant. It's perfect. So here, actually, I'll just put that comment up here. There we go. Okay. So now let's say that you give this information out, and let's say that they're interested. Now they might not commit, but that they're okay, haven't been scared away or running away. You're still interested in dealing with them. What's our second step? So step number 1 is very few details, but enough for them to know if they're interested. Step number 2?
Step number 2 is a more detailed email. So I like to kind of put things in writing, because if you're going to give somebody some detail, they need to be able to look over it. Whereas if you do it on the phone, unless they're very skilled or very experienced, they may lose some of what you're saying in translation. So I find writing stuff down gives people an opportunity to review and to read it more than once. So that's my second step, is to send them a detailed email. And so some of the things that I like to talk about in the email is I like to talk a little bit about me, because not everyone knows who I am or what my level of experience is. So I do like to give them a little kind of detail about me. I like to give them some detail about the property or the investment that the money would be going towards, and also talk about security and how they get paid back and when they receive their interest on their money, whether it's monthly payments or a balloon payment, and kind of what the details are of the timeline. So if I have a timeline 2 weeks from now, I need to give them a date. I need to let them know when funds would need to be into the lawyer's office. So I kind of detail out, not everything, but enough for them to get a sense of, okay, if I'm going to follow through with this and send a reply that I'm interested, there's going to be way more detail coming at them. So I know whether they're serious or not. So if they make it through the email, I'm hoping that I get a response, either no, sorry, I'm not interested, that doesn't work for me right now, or that doesn't fit my timeline, or hey, I thought of 5 other questions, can you answer these for me?
Right. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So I think that I just want to stop and kind of talk for a sec of how critical it is to just kind of, let people absorb information in stages, because we as investors, for one, if we've been doing it a long time, but lots of us are really well educated. Maybe we don't have the experience, or maybe we do, but we know the lingo. We understand the strategies. And so when we, go to talk to someone, often we fire hose them. It's like we just take out that water hose and we're just, like shoving the detail down their throat, and they get lost. And so what I appreciate from talking to you and knowing how you work, is that it has to be in bite-sized pieces. So first step, enough detail for them to answer us, but not too much. 5 things, that's about all. You can do maybe a little more or a tiny bit less, but not too much. Second step, you're saying now you move into a written, either an email, or if you're in person, I guess not these days, but detail, a little bit more detail on each one of those 5 steps. So something that if they haven't been scared away by, now they need to know detail. Can they meet these deadlines? Is the percentage enough, and how it's being paid out enough? That sort of thing. Yes?
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. Okay, so let's say that you determine that, and you tell them, look, this is my plan. It's a reno, it's a flip, it's a burr, whatever it is. They like it. How do you get them to give you the money? Because sometimes there's a disconnect between the commitment, right?
Yeah.
And the check. So how do you move through that process?
Well, I think part of it is just follow up and asking for the money. So I think people need to be very clear that you can present, whether it's a joint venture or a private money deal, you can present the information, but if you don't ask for the money, oftentimes people just think that you're not interested or in their money, right? Or they're not interested in moving forward. So it's really clear that's why I love having some sort of timeline for a response. If you're interested in moving forward with this, I need to know by X date so that I can draft up the paperwork and get things moving, because here's the timeline I have from my lawyer's office. So I need to give them X amount of time, which means I need to get this done now. So that's where timelines are really your friend. And I'd much rather have somebody say, no, I can't meet that. And maybe this isn't right for me, so that I can move on. I always like to leave the door open and say, hey, there'll be more opportunities coming in the next 6 months. So let me know if you're interested. And then oftentimes you get that, oh, yes, I'd love to be on your list. Send me the next one, right? Because we never know when people are going to for sure be interested. And sometimes actually you get people say, I'd like to know how this one goes. So please keep me updated, because maybe, 3 months from now, the timing will be right. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. And it's very true. So we call it in Ignited, we call it good news reporting. So just because they didn't say yes to this one doesn't mean you don't keep them apprised of that market, that kind of deal, how the results went. When you're able to send them an update and say, just so you know, that deal that, we had originally talked about, this is how it ended up working out, and these were the returns. And, if you're ever interested, let me know. Again, it's a reason to touch base. It's a reason to share good, positive things. And it's relationship building, right? Because lots of this takes time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So, and guys, if you have any questions for Andrea, she is always an amazing help to other investors. She's always never held anything back. She's not one of those ones that'll tell you, 80%, 90% of the answer and then just keep all the goods for herself. She's one that has always given back to the community she's involved with. So make sure to jump in. And I love how you said, Andrea, timelines are your friend. I've never heard it put like that, but it's so true, because if we can, provide our timelines and just, look, I'm not trying to be pushy, but here's my timeline. In order to get this deal done, I'm going to need this from you by this date.
Yes.
It is what it is. And when you can communicate that, it gets the yes or the no, and filters out some of the ones that you can say, okay, I'll check back with you next week once this one's funded. I need to move on to funding my deal, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. Grant's got a question for you here. Andrea, how do you track various investors and private lenders? Do you have any systems or tools that you use?
So I have kind of an informal list of people that I've done business with before on the private lending side. So they're usually my first call. And so I like to do repeat business with people that we have that know, like, and trust with. And then if it's something that I'm reaching out for to attract new partners, whether it's a Facebook post or just through different group meetings, I'm pretty just informal. I just try to keep it like a handwritten list. I guess I'm old school, but I don't use any sort of like CRM, customer relationship management software or anything like that. I'm not that techie
person. Yeah, I'm not either. We do use some CRMs and that sort of thing, but I'm not the one that can administer them because I'm not good. Grant, on the other hand, is a tech whiz. I don't know don't know what you do for work, Grant, but it's ridiculous. He's on the computer. He finds stuff faster than I do, and it's my stuff. Like, I don't know how he does it. Anyways, Grant and Kareen are doing a raise right now for some townhomes in Ontario. And they've been kicking butt for, I think there's 40 townhomes out there too. So yeah, I'm sure he's interested in finding out all the details on organizing, although I'm sure he's got some of that covered. Let me see. I love this comment here. Best words to hear from Nicole. Colin and Nicole are out in Ontario as well. We'd love to invest with you. Second best words, put me on your list. It's so true that those lists become invaluable. So as you're building these deals, you're also building for your next deal, and that list becomes invaluable. You said that you go to that list first, hey?
Yes, I usually go to my my number one list is people I've already done business with, and my number two list is people that haven't yet said yes. So they're still on the list, and I still reach out to them. But yes,
yeah,
it's good to keep building the list because you never know when somebody's going to be ready.
Yeah, it's so true. And a lot of people will sometimes be embarrassed to say no. Have you ever found that?
I think what's more frustrating than anything is when somebody just doesn't reply, because I don't want to bother people. But if you told me you wanted the information and I gave it to you, even just sorry, this doesn't work for me right now is fantastic, because I don't want to waste my time, emailing people over and over again if they're not interested. So at least if I get a reply back, with what a better timeline is for them, then I know how to be respectful in my email communication, because I don't want to, send all these emails to somebody who just really doesn't want them. Just tell me.
Right, exactly. Yeah, just tell me. I like it. And I find that sometimes even saying to people, just so you know, it's okay if this isn't for you or if the time isn't right for you. Just putting out feelers to see who it is right for, and to just kind of take that pressure off, because lots of times people don't want to say, hey, I don't have the money, or hey, I'm not ready for it, or whatever it might be. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, great points. Love this stuff. It's great. Okay, so we've got our first 5 things at stage 1. We give them little bits of information, just nibbles, enough for them to make a decision, but not enough for them to just, have everything all at once. They have to contact you if they want more. So that's what we want. That's stage 1. Stage 2, we're going to go into, little bit more information on each of those things. We might talk not just about, what type of strategy we're doing, but where it is, maybe a little bit about the market. We might talk about the plan on how they're going to get their money back, whether it's a refinance or BRRRR, whatever it might be, and the timeline. So details on each of those things. Phase 3, we need the commitment.
Yeah.
So I asked you, how do you get that? And you said?
I said, I just asked for the sale.
And for some reason, that's really hard. Isn't it hard to ask for the deal?
I think it can be when you're just starting out, because I don't take it personally if somebody says no to me, because each no is closer to a yes. It's just a process. I call it dialing for dollars. I just keep going. So, for me, it's not hard to hear a no, but for some people, especially if it's a good friend or family member, they take it really personal, like, oh my God, that person didn't believe in me enough. Or maybe they don't think I have enough training or know what I'm doing. But, I can have my best friend say, no, sorry, I'm going to use my money for something else. And I'm okay with that. We're still friends.
Yeah. And the thing is too, that it's easier to do that when you're to the point where you've been there long enough and you have the confidence within yourself and your own skills. When you're first starting and you don't have that confidence, it's just like a reinforcement of those doubts that you have of yourself. So yeah, it can definitely be hard. So let's say they say yes. Let's say they say that they're in, you've given them timelines, they've said, okay, now what do we send? What do we do?
So this is when I send the promissory note to begin with. And whether we're converting that into a mortgage or not, I just like to start out with the promissory note because it's a signature, it's an agreement that we're all agreeing to. And then typically I send with that instructions because they need to know what the next step is. They need to know what the timeline is. So then I'll send them the lawyer's trust account information. And just, a lot of people don't know how to wire money. So just explaining that there may be a cost to do a bank-to-bank transaction, whether it's from a personal or a business account and going into a personal or a business account. So we just don't want to assume that people know how this works. And especially if you're using a bank account that's like a discount one, so like a Simply account or a Tangerine, it may actually take you a few extra days to get that money out. So for example, one of my current investors said that they had some money in that type of account, and it could take up to 7 business days to get the money out. Wow. So that's quite a bit longer. So in order to make sure we're still within our timeline, we need to know. So quite often I will say, which bank are you dealing with? Because if it's a top 5 bank, I know even if the bank says it'll take 24 hours, often it's there in hours. But if it's, some sort of different type of bank that doesn't have a branch, it's going to take longer and it's going to be more expensive. So my lender was quoted $85 to send the money from her account to the lawyer's trust account. Wow. Whereas I go to the ETB bank and I do a transfer for $0. Yeah, for like
$7 or maybe 12, I think is the highest that I've seen. But yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So just things to keep in mind. We need to get that contract signed and we need to know what the next step is.
Okay, so third stage, you're sending them a promissory note, and that's basically giving them the details of the investments, and it is a commitment. Now, let's talk about the difference between promissory note and mortgage, which you mentioned some of them you then convert into a mortgage depending on what province you're in. So let's talk about that difference. Just give a little bit of clarity there for us.
Yeah, so a promissory note is kind of like an IOU. So I owe you $100,000, but it may not be attached to a title of a property. It may just be a piece of paper that's signed by me, it's signed by you, and I agree that I owe you this money. So there's no necessarily security attached to it. If I pass away, you have to go to my estate and say, Andrea, sign this note. You need to fork over some money. So usually when we see promissory notes that are not backed with anything else, it's because there's a very strong relationship between the two parties that are doing the promissory note. So people know each other well, and these are people that have that strong trust. Now, the mortgage is something that's actually drawn up by a lawyer. It's registered on the title of the property. And when that property is sold, that mortgage has to be paid out. So that offers kind of the ultimate security. So one of the things that I've learned in doing business in British Columbia is a promissory note cannot be registered as caveat as it would in Alberta, which you could just register a promissory note on title just to say, I have an interest in the property. So when this property is sold, you have to deal with me first. Yeah. But in BC, that doesn't exist the same way. So what I learned is that a promissory note gets converted into a mortgage. So I'm starting with one, and it's just a simple, one and a half page agreement. So I find that it's easy for my investors to understand because all the details are there. This is how much the money is. This is what I'm paying them. This is when I'm paying them. This is how long the agreement is for. Whereas a mortgage is just that extra multi-page document.
Yes.
So,
it has that security, so it's secured against your property or land or whatever. A couple things. So, Grant, we're going to get to your question and the other questions that we have as well. But a couple things next week. Now, you mentioned how promissory note is often done when there's trust built up. So next week we're going to talk to the point of, what do you really when you're going to lend someone money, what should you be looking for and what should you be doing? Because we do see that sometimes people lend too willy-nilly, too easily, and really they haven't protected their own interest as lenders. And so we're going to be talking about that a little bit more next week. But I'm glad that you brought that up, is that usually there's that trust there because it really is only, often only just okay, I'll owe you for now. And then later it can get registered on, some sort of title somewhere. But for the time being, it often is just a matter of trust. So there's a little bit of, do you ever get people questioning that and wondering, asking you about that? I guess.
So there's some prudent things that people ask for even with a promissory note. And one of those is your purchase contract. So if this is a new property that you're purchasing and you're going to be using their money to purchase it, they want to see the contract that you have with your seller, which I'm happy to provide. And another thing that's often that they ask is if you're investing in using a corporate name entity rather than your personal name, they want to know who your shareholders are. So providing all that information from your shareholders and a copy of your incorporation documents, which again, I'm happy to provide. So those are some of the things because they want to know if I die, who else are they dealing with? Mm-hmm. So, these are important things to ask. And of course, some people still pull title. They want to know that this property exists. Okay. What's
that?
Why should they take my word for it, right?
Right. Okay. So let me ask you now, Andrea, how many deals have you done?
Probably close to 100. Okay.
So you're a seasoned investor. You've been around a long time. You have a good reputation. If you were scuzzy, we'd know it by now. So now, how do you feel about people asking you that kind of personal information? They don't trust you. They're asking for backup on every single thing you say. They're asking for your shareholders. Really? How do you actually feel about them doing that?
I think it's fantastic because I have nothing to hide. So why wouldn't I provide the information? And I think it's important to put yourself in their shoes too, because if you were them, what would you want to know? And I think the more seasoned we are, the more normal it is. And I don't take issue with any of it. I think it's pretty standard actually, and I'm surprised how little due diligence some people do. And so I think it's great, because you just never know. Sometimes that's what people need to see in order to help build that know, trust, that relationship. So I want to be as open as I can and say, here I am. Anything you need, you got it.
I love it. And, not everyone operates that way, but that is totally what we believe in. And that is what we teach as well, is you open that book and you say, look, this is me. If they don't like it or aren't comfortable, that's okay. But, don't be offended if people ask you to see your credit, even if it's not perfect. Don't be offended if people ask you about things. It's not offensive. It's their money. It's their nest egg. It's their children's education. It's their parents' seniors' home. This is their right. So it's nothing personal. So I love it. Let's hit this question. Andrea, do you ask best communication to use with private lenders? Do you ask them, or do you favor email or phone?
Yeah, so I kind of let people lead me in the way that they want to receive the information. So I find that oftentimes people will give an email first, especially if they're not somebody I really know all that well. They'll want an email first because it's not as personal. And so that's where I like to give myself the opportunity to explain who I am and what I'm about. And so if people prefer a phone call, then I just usually take my cues from them. If they want a phone call, they'll give me their phone number. So I just let people tell me how they want to be communicated, but I find 9 times out of 10, people want to start with an email. They want something in writing. They want to see what you're about. And so that's what we start with, but we may finish with a phone call, because some people that are older, they take more stock in a phone call. They want to hear your voice. They want to hear the intonation in your voice. They want to be able to just have a conversation and find out all the information, and they want to build more of that rapport through the telephone. And I'm happy to do that.
Awesome. Yeah, I love how you don't have any pride attached to any of it. You're willing to do whatever it takes, within reason. But really, if something's going to make someone comfortable, why on earth would you not, if it's going to help you get to your goals, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, awesome. Grant says, Andrea, how do we get a hold of you?
Oh, I'm pretty easy to find. So I'm on Facebook.
It's Andrea Gauntlet?
Gauntlet Workington. Yeah, so I can, people can email me. My email is workington.andrea@gmail.com.
There we go.
Send me messenger, however you like. Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay. Now I see a question. I don't know who it's from. I can't see your name. And I don't know. Do you know anything about Ontario registrations? Or maybe not.
I don't. I'm sorry.
Okay, no worries. I don't either. I would suggest whoever you are, I think you should talk to these guys, Grant and Corrine. They should be able to answer your questions. I'm sorry, I can't see your name, who's asking that, but check out these guys, Grant and Corrine. That's their Facebook name right there, and they should be able to answer some questions for you. So let me see. Anne Bossy. Hey, Anne. Haven't seen you for a bit. I know promissory notes are crucial for helping the real estate go around. Sometimes you need a lender who can deal quickly. It's all based on trust and knowing that the borrower has an insurance or something to cover the loan. Oh, yep. She's just reiterating. Perfect. I thought it might be a question, Anne, but she's just reiterating what you said. So that's perfect.
Yeah. And I would just say, like, for example, I see Sean Impey's on the call tonight. So I've dealt with Sean Impey a fair amount, and, he has private lenders too. And they do ask for a lot more information. And so, sometimes that question is, how much is your life insurance? And what other forms of security do you have?
Yeah.
And those are important things to have handy. If somebody wants to see my insurance policy, here you go.
Yeah. And I love it because there's we have a lot of lenders in Ignited. And, my fear is that a lot of them are, afraid to ask some of those questions. They don't want to grill the person. They feel bad doing it. And I'm like, heck, it's your money. Ask those questions. Just do it. So yeah, I love hearing that. And I see Sean on here. And interestingly, it is an interesting point that, certain things have to be put on the promissory notes in Alberta. Yet they're not allowed in BC. You have to convert it to a mortgage. In Ontario, I'm sure there's other things. So that is really the importance of working with not only a broker like Sean that, knows this kind of stuff, but also the professionals and knowing what can be done where. So,
yeah.
And this actually, Lori May might know as well, the Ontario question as well. So, yeah, we'll let you guys all. I'm going to look for any questions. Look at this. We were just saying, I don't know who this is either. You guys, if you give StreamYard your permission, we'll be able to see your name. There is a link that Nin will put in the chat. But we're just saying how awesome Andrea is when we drove through Tim Hortons. We first met you when we bought our first AFS.
Oh, well, thank you, whoever you are.
Hey. Okay, so listen, can you believe it's 40 minutes already? Ridiculous. Okay, so we're going to do our role play now. So let's give a little bit of a base. And this is a real deal that you have available right now. You're taking private money on, right?
That's right.
All right. So I'm going to be your private lender, potential private lender. And I'm going to ask the questions. Now, to set the stage, what have you done prior to this call? We're going to do it as if we're on Zoom, just like this, because that's kind of our climate these days, right?
Yeah, so let's say that you've kind of seen my 5 questions, you reached out, I sent you an email with more information, and now you just want to have a phone call and just confirm some of what you have read or questions that you have about the area.
Okay, perfect. So you've contacted me by a post in Facebook, a text message, or an email to your existing list, something kind of mass sent out that they've seen it on, or that I've seen it on, and now I'm coming to you and saying, hey, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, you ready to start? We're going to start this as if it's like...
I'm ready.
Okay, so hey, Andrea, thanks for taking my call. I'm interested in what you have to offer, but I had a few questions for you.
Great. Well, I'd love to have the answers for you. So what do you have for me?
Well, so, okay, I noticed that you said that you're offering 8% interest.
Yes, that's right.
And I mean, I know that's a good interest rate, but I will say that I was getting 12% before, and I've seen quite a few things offered at even 18%. So just wondering why it is that you're offering 8%.
Well, I consider my investment a low risk one. I'm not asking you to do a second mortgage for me. This is like a first mortgage. And what I am purchasing is at a wholesale price. So I'm already getting it under market value. And so there's a lot of value there. The property is located in a seller's market. And one of the rules in BC is we can't market until we actually close on the property. So that's why I haven't pre-marketed, is because I can't. So I want to, be following the BC rules. And so I have a whole marketing plan that is going to make this investment of yours very safe and very secure and very low risk. So that is what my focus is on. And that's why I'm offering 8%.
Okay. Do you guarantee the 8%?
Well, as you know, nothing in life is absolutely 100% guaranteed, but I will say that if for whatever reason you were to end up with this property, let's say I got hit by a bus tomorrow, and you ended up with this property, you are going to have a beautiful half-acre spread in a seller's market that's under market value, that you will be able to hire a realtor and he will be able to sell that property for you and you will get your money. Now, again, nothing for certain in life, but the worst case scenario isn't all that bad.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So now, yeah, that's why the interest rate would be lower too, because there's a lot of security in that as well.
There is, yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now in your initial email, you said that it's by promissory note and that it is secured on title. So does that mean that I'm first mortgage holder, or is that title in your name, or how does that work?
Yes, so I will be registered as the title holder and you will be registered actually as a first mortgage holder. And there is no other liens or encumbrances on the title. It's just you and me.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I can see why. And I mean, 8%, I'm not complaining about it. It is good, but I've seen other options and I'm always intrigued as to how others can offer such a high rate. But I see the safety and security in it for sure. So that makes sense. Now, as for a timeline, when are you looking for this money for?
So I'm looking for this money within the next 2 weeks. I have the opportunity to close on some more lots in this development that I am invested in. And so I would like to take advantage of that because I've already closed on a few lots and now I'm allowed to start my marketing machine. So in the next 2 weeks, I am going to be working my butt off to get this property flipped as quickly as possible.
In the next week?
In the next 2 weeks, yeah. So I'm looking for the money to be within the next ideally week and a half, because the lawyers always need a bit of extra time. They don't want to receive it on closing day. And I have learned that in this area, beautiful Cranbrook, where I happen to be at the moment, it's a little bit more laid back lifestyle. And so the lawyer's office, they want 2 weeks to close. And so I have the ability, because I already got these properties under contract, but I'm allowed to close sooner on them. So I'm looking to close sooner. So my lawyer says he needs 2 weeks. So if you and I were to come to an agreement today and you were committed to me and to this project, then we would set out a date 2 weeks from now.
Okay, so I would have to have the money to you like in the next week kind of thing.
Yeah, next 10 days.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I could probably do that. It's a little bit quick for me, but I could probably make it happen. I'm really nervous. This is my first private lend deal, so I have just a ton of questions going through my mind. So the value of the property. So you're looking for how much as a raise again?
So I'm looking for $153,000 total. And what that gets you is first mortgage on this beautiful property here. And that will be registered on the title. So I'm ideally looking just for one person with $153,000 rather than breaking it up into chunks and then you got multiple people involved. And, I find it's just easier to find one person than I have one person to deal with on that property.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. Okay, so and how are you so on a first mortgage, you're gonna pay me 8%. How are you going to make that money? And in the first email you sent, it was a balloon payment, right?
Yes, that's right. So we anticipate that we will resell the lots within 6 months. So in this seller's market, stuff is selling very quickly. Okay. One of the benefits that we have is we have a builder on board who will be building the houses for whoever purchases them. So that solves a huge issue because in this marketplace, things are selling so quickly that a lot of the builders are actually telling people that unless they're selling their own product on their own developments, they're not interested in building your house on your own lot. So we actually went to the trouble to recruit an Alberta builder who all they do is custom homes. And these are half-acre spreads. And so most people will build $1 million house on them. It's also backing onto a world-class golf course. So it really suits the people that want lifestyle, because this area of Cranbrook is all about lifestyle. So we have 7 golf courses within half an hour, another 7 within an hour and a half. We've got ski hill. The Kimberley ski hill is 25 minutes from here. That's where I'm actually staying, is at the Kimberley ski hill. But you have ski hills all around us, world-class fly fishing, hiking, biking. I mean, for the outdoor enthusiast, you have everything. Cranbrook also has a brand new MRI unit and a great hospital. The international airport is 5 minutes from these lots. So some people fly in on their own private jet. And there's no lineup.
Oh,
so
wow.
Who we're kind of marketing to are people with money. And so through our marketing, which is we've got a Facebook business page, we've got a website, we're going to be using Facebook AdWord campaigns. We are targeting people in Edmonton, Calgary, and Vancouver, people with money.
Gotcha. To sell these to?
Yes.
And would they be buying them as like permanent residents or secondary homes?
Probably mostly permanent residents. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So would you take a partner on this instead of a private lend at a certain percentage?
Yeah, so we could look at doing an equity partnership on this lot rather than private money. I'm totally open to that. Yeah.
Okay. And then are you going to be holding these long term, or are you selling? I
think we just lost the other half of me. But I'll continue on. Yes, we essentially, the idea is not to hold on to this long term. It's to be flipping these lots within the next 6 months. And then I've actually got a contract on another parcel of land that's in the next phase of the development, which I'll be looking at doing a condo building on.
Okay, cool. So if I wanted to stay in longer term, I could, because right now you're offering the 6-month balloon payment at 8% on my money.
Yes. So if you wanted to roll that over to the next lot, if there was any left available to close on, I could do that. Or I could roll it into the next phase that we would be involved in.
Okay, great. That's great. Because I kind of feel like that would be a little bit of a test drive for me. Like I could see how I do and how I feel about this and all that kind of stuff. If I can walk in 6 months with a balloon payment, or I could jump onto next opportunity and have that money continue working for me. I don't feel like I want to be jumping around too much, but if there's that opportunity, that makes sense. All right, perfect. So, okay, so I know I'm being stuck on the 8%, and I know I shouldn't be, but I'm just wondering, would you think about changing on that percentage at all? Would you offer any more?
Well, what do you think is fair?
Well, I'd be looking for 9%.
I think I'd be happy to do 9%. If that's what it makes the difference for you, I'm happy to do that.
Okay, awesome. And the last private lender I was talking to will also pay my lawyer fees. Do you do that or not? It's okay if you don't.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So I think, great job, Andrea. I think we'll end the role play there. Good job.
Okay.
Kind of asked you all the kind of yucky questions that we sometimes get. But I just got to say, I love how you just answered them as a real person. You didn't get all like, serious on me and talking in a different voice and all formal or anything. You just talked like you always talk.
Yes.
Yes.
Good. That's all I'm good for.
That's good. That's good. And so tell me, you were telling me about this guy, or, a couple lenders you've been speaking to lately where you did negotiate a little bit. So tell me about that, what we were talking about earlier. When do you negotiate? When do you not? And, what's kind of your limit on that?
Yeah. So I would say that some people with less experience don't even think to negotiate, and they're quite happy with the 8%, especially if they're getting 1 or less in their bank account right now. Or their line of credit is at a really low interest rate. As you know, we're at all-time low interest rates, and that's why money is cheap right now, even on the private side. So, for example, money that Sean Impey was looking at getting for me was 7 to 8% on a first mortgage. So that's pretty cheap money. And that's why when somebody says to me, oh, well, I want 14 or 16, I'm like, well, that's okay. You can find somebody else, because I know I can find people for 8 or 9% that are happy to receive it.
Okay, I'm going to stop you because I've been on this rant for at least 6 months now that a lot of people are saying, oh, people want 18%, 14% on their money. And I'm saying you don't have to offer that anymore. Yeah, did we used to have to? Yeah, we used to pay that kind of money years ago. But that's not the climate that it's in right now. Interest rates are super low. People have lost 30% of their portfolios in the last year in their RSPs. They're happy to be making 3% just so they don't lose money. That's, people are in a different mindset right now. So for all you guys who I've been yakking at, take it from Andrea too. You don't have to be offering insane percentages anymore, because people are happy for a safe, secure, sound investment, and they're happy to be making 8% on their money. Are you having trouble raising money for this deal, Andrea?
No, I just, I've got a bunch of these lots, so I just keep going, and I just keep raising money because I can close on these lots early. I have that ability, so I just keep marketing, and I'll continue to do so until I'm out of land.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so I had a question for you. Let me see. I just wanted to point out. Notice that she went into Cranbrook. Cranbrook is the name of the city that she's investing in. It's not a big city, as you guys probably see. We've got people from across Canada here. They don't know Cranbrook probably. She went into a few of the reasons why people are flocking to Cranbrook. And who is the buyer? Told you a little bit about her marketing. They want to know not only about the marketing, but they want to know about you. That's one question I should have asked you actually in the role play was, so let's just get that now. So let's say you weren't 100 deals in, because I know you started and crawled from the trenches like we did. You know, what did you say to create that credibility and that like, no trust factor when you didn't really have very much under your belt, but you knew you were going to do it? So what did you say, and what can people say when they're first starting out?
I think part of it is confidence and knowledge. So it's really important to know whichever market you're going to focus on, just focus on that market. So for example, when I started in Red Deer, it's 100,000 people. It's not that difficult to really know the pulse of the market. And I encourage you, if you're in a larger center, just focus on one section of your city. Or if you're in a more rural area, then you can focus on that county. But really become an expert so that if people ask you, well, what is the average days on market there, that you have the answer to it. Or what's the average sale price, or if things are on average going for over list price. And that's one of the things that I've been doing in my emails is the city of Cranbrook just came out with a housing report, and I'm sending it to everyone. Hey, you want to do some due diligence and see? Here you go. We need 300 more condo units in Cranbrook. So guess what I'm going to build? A condo building, right? So it tells you right there. The city has told you what they need. So why don't we give people what they need?
Yeah, for sure. I love it. Okay. What is the LTV? One question has come up. What is the LTV?
Oh, the loan to value. So on this investment, it is 100% of the wholesale price that I'm purchasing at, but we can show that it's actually worth 200,000 or more compared to what the other sales are in the area. So if somebody wants comparables, we're happy to show those.
So it's 100% of the wholesale price, but about 75% of the retail.
That's right.
Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect. So Andrea, you're going to be coming on to our laser sessions for the next couple of months, and with our Igniteds and answering questions, because there's so much to pick your brain on. It's crazy. I have a question. Did you ever do the yellow letter campaigns?
I did it once, yes. And I actually had somebody that 5 years later still had my letter and called me on it.
No way.
You wanted to buy my house. I said, I sure did. Let me have a look at it.
That's awesome. That's hilarious. And where we did a lot of deals joint ventures so that we could go money down, you did a lot of creative real estate. So you did a lot of like the agreements for sale and that kind of thing so that you could go low or no money down as well. So
that's right.
Yeah, so much information that we could get from you. Unfortunately, we're out of time. It went way too quick tonight. But if people are interested in your deal, so as you guys have seen, Andrea is sharing this with us. We thought this is like a perfect win-win. She can pitch her deal in a sense is what we did. We said we want a real deal, not a fake deal. Let's do a real deal. If they want to get a hold of you, they know how to get a hold of you now. So that's great. And for us, thank you for sharing all of your knowledge. I love the 3-point system, so I'm just going to review it real quick. Your first stage is those first 5 points, guys. Not more than that. You don't want to drown people with information at first. That's just the feelers that you send out by email, text, or even Facebook posts. Second stage you jump in on is, a little bit more on each of those things. So each of the timeline, the, security, the interest rate, the value of the property, a little bit more information on all of that. And third thing is asking for the deal. Ask them if they want to invest with you. Fourth thing, when they say yes, you send them the promissory note. Get that signed, and the rest is rolling.
That's right.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for coming on. We'll be in touch. And we appreciate your knowledge so much. So good luck with your deal. I know you don't need it, but good luck with it anyway. And you say that? Oh, okay, yeah. Corey passed me a note. I'm like, do you want me to say that? No. Okay, never mind. Anyways, have a great night. We'll see you guys next week for more on private lending and then the Smith maneuver the last 2 weeks in January. So thanks for joining us. Have a good night, everyone. And we'll see Ignited's over in our Ignited Laser session.